And good Thursday evening, the David and Chuck Show live. I'm up on the mountain in beautiful Maggie Valley, North Carolina, looking outside as the sun is setting. How beautiful! And for all you Leaf people that are wanting to come and look at the Leafs this weekend or this week, come to my house. I've got plenty for you to do. Plenty. And Chuck, welcome down from beautiful Winston-Salem, North Carolina. How are you, my friend? Welcome.
I'm well, and just announced just a moment ago, a Legacy Stadium at Wake Forest University has just declared themselves a no spy zone.
And we are going to get into that tonight. Got a lot of things to talk about. We got a little Tuscola West Henderson, some college football, the World Series. Curious now as we're going to talk about the World Series and in our group text, John Taylor, Riley just drove in the winning run in the fall baseball game up there, he sent the video. She did a great job, and that reminded me when you talked. You said don't shortchange her. She needs to get some ice cream. And let me ask you this before we start talking about the other stuff. When I was a kid, especially in 4A, Silverline Plastics, we were awesome. And yes, I'm talking to you, Tim Sluter, and God rest your soul. I'm talking to you, Chris Hawkins. Our team and your team, we were the two best teams. But the big deal for us was when we won, they would load us up in a couple of pickup trucks and drive us from the ball fields at Irwin down to the old McDonald's on Patton Avenue, and you could get you a couple of Big Macs and a fry, and all that good stuff. And winning was important because we were going to McDonald's, and that was a big deal. A big deal. Did you guys ever have anything like that when you were growing up that you all got to go eat, go do those type of things?
No, my dad brought me home and put the lawnmower out and said, "Go mow the lawn now." So that was my surprise. My went. No, I'm only kidding. In youth baseball, we played during the morning, the day. Our parents were working, and their city baseball program was we had an 8 o'clock game, 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and 2 o'clock. And you played about 3 times a week for a month and a half, and then you went into city playoffs and everything like that. So you played a lot of baseball, but we never played at night.
Yeah,
we never played at night.
Yeah, we would play on Saturday afternoons, but then when they put the lights up, we played night games. But going to McDonald's was a big deal, and and I will tell you this: I don't know how, but a Big Mac used to be the size of what a Whopper is today.
Mm-hmm.
And do you remember that they were the same size?
Yes.
So these kids today, you're getting shortchanged. You're getting shortchanged because we had Big Macs.
Right.
And so anyway, I really good times. I think about that stuff. And were you guys any good? Was your little league team, your 4A team, what we called it? Were they good?
Yeah, it was our neighborhood team. Yale Street, Brandon Street, the collection of about 10, maybe 11 guys. And every year we got sponsors, and we had the shirts with the, the white sleeve or the blue, that kind of stuff. But we were really good.
Silverline Plastics.
We're Silverline Plastics. Okay.
Silverline Plastics.
But we were good. We're good. We got one time to the city championship. 13 years old, and lost the game. But hey,
was that Flint? Was that the city of Flint?
Yeah, city of Flint championship.
And when you lost, was there an accidental bombing?
Yeah, there was a lot of.
You were probably responsible for as a 12-year-old.
Ronnie Pellin, Billy Burnside, Joey Cox, myself. We didn't take losing well. Yeah. We were ready. It's like Michigan State waiting for Michigan to come up the tunnel. Okay, you won the game. Now you got to get home. So, anyhow.
Yeah. And yeah, good times, thinking about my friends and all the stuff and playing ball and all that good stuff. Orchard Coffee, can I tell you? Janet went up to Orchard Coffee today and brought me back to the office. You know, I used to be the guy that would eat the bacon and the sausage and the eggs and the biscuits and the gravy and all that good stuff. And don't do that anymore. And she brought me back an avocado toast from Orchard Coffee.
Yeah.
And people, if you go to my no, if you go to the Tuscola Football Network page, go look at that thing. It's gorgeous on top of being good. Uh, Healthy. Janet tells me again. This is over my head. She tells me that the carbs, because I said, what doesn't this have a bunch of carbs? And she goes, yes, but those are good carbs. So the avocado has good carbs and it tastes good. So our friends at Orchard Coffee, our friends at Sutton and Sons, 3156 Delwood Road. Uh,
That's
and
Angie approved. Angie approved.
Angie approved.
My wife
That's
loves that place.
and I know for a fact that I mean, that's how her business was doing things on consignment and all that good stuff when she had the place up on Main Street for all those years. Uh, when it's Angie approved, that's just not saying, hey, my wife likes that place.
Right.
She knows what the hell she's talking about.
I think it was called Fifi's. She had
Yes,
Fifi's.
yes. But I mean, when she goes in Sutton's and Sons, she knows what she's talking about. If you think you're going up there and you go, oh, it's just a junk place, then you need to reevaluate what you're thinking about, dude. It's an awesome place, and there's a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of history in there. One of the things that they got, Chuck, is I love history. And years ago, uh, before basic training, I worked about 2 months before basic training with my brother moving furniture, and uh, went up into an attic at this place, and they had Life magazines from like the 30s on, and sitting there, and I quit moving furniture and just sat down and reading these magazines and talking about like in 1939. I remember it like it was yesterday reading it and them talking. And Bob Hope had a little article thing in there that said, "If you hear this siren," this is 1939. We didn't get in the war until uh, December 7th, 1941. But it said, if you hear the siren and if the air raid comes to your city, you need to find the civil defense. And remember, when we were growing up, you had the civil defense things, and you need to get to that shelter immediately and shelter in place till they tell you not to. But the reason I tell you that is when I was up there the other day, they've got Life magazines they're fascinating, and they're not tore up. They're in great shape, and they're not asking an, a silly price for them.
Hey, David, I
Yeah.
just had a disturbing text or ticker just flash on the screen that Northwestern State, a Division 1 AA, has canceled its football season and the coach has resigned due to player's death. And that's the first I've heard of anything going on.
Janet, can you look that up?
What is it?
What's the name of it?
Northwestern State.
Northwestern State football. Can you look that up, please? So Janet's going to look that up. We'll get some information on that.
Yep.
And come see me. Come see me at Crompton's Auto Mart. I got a really good selection. And, usually I just, on here, I feel almost sometimes try to underplay and be kind of quiet about it. But I'm going to puff my chest out a little bit and tell you, come see us.
Oh, a shooting death of a player.
A shooting death of a player.
And that's the retirement of the head coach Brad Lauer.
Jesus Christ.
In response to the shooting death of one of his players earlier this month.
Yeah, crazy. So anyway, we'll look more into that. But come see me. We've got a great selection. I had a guy come by today. They say, "Man, I really like that pickup truck." And I think it's a 2017 GMC Sahara 4-wheel drive, 4 doors, great miles, beautiful blue truck, blah blah blah, leather, the whole 9 yards. the top of the line stuff. And he didn't mean to, but he made this comment that it kind of struck me, and I just stood there for a minute and said, "Well, okay." He goes, I didn't know that I wanted to stop at a place like this because I'm on my way to the franchise dealer. Well, I took offense to that
Mm-hmm.
because I sell the same crap they sell. I sell the same metal they sell, and I'm not gonna back charge you these thousands and thousands of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And I did take offense to it, and I said something. We all buy the same vehicles at the same place, so I did take a little offense to that. Come see us, give us a chance. We're going to take care of you. And then one more thing here, Chuck, before we move on and start talking about Friday night and Saturdays in the World Series. If you are a teacher, not in Haywood County only, if you're a teacher, I don't care where you are. If you're a coach, I don't care where you are. Come see us. I'm going to give you a discount. I am going to take care of you. And we've got a great relationship. If you want to go to the State Employees Credit Union, I will make it quick and simple and easy for you. If you have a credit issue, that doesn't go any further than the conversation that I would have with you. And I've got a place that we're going to rebuild your credit. We are going to make an effort to take care of every teacher and every coach because these people are underpaid and overworked, and to me, they are our heroes.
Yep.
And we're going to take care of them. And I'm tired of sitting back and being quiet. So if you want to go see the franchise dealer and spend all that money, you take your butt on up there. But if you want the same product that's going to be less expensive and somebody that's going to take care of you, you get your butt down to see me. All right. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say about that. Isn't that, what was that movie with the mustard? I wish Lloyd was on here.
Forrest Gump.
Yep, that's all I got to say about that. So, thank you to our sponsors. We're excited. Friday night, tomorrow night, 7:30 kickoff. A massive game for the Tuscola Mountaineers. It is what it is, and it's big, and it's senior night. So I would encourage everyone to get out there early. I would encourage everyone to come and bring people with you. Fill C.E. Weatherby Stadium up. Let's support that team, and let's honor this special group of young men that have been through a heck of a lot in the 4 years they've been up on that hill. The COVID situation, playing a year of spring football with it, having a really good year last year, and then having to deal with what happened from the second that season was over up until April. And then in April, the new coach coming in and totally uprooting their world, terminology-wise, philosophy-wise, football-wise, and these kids have never flinched, and they're great young men, and I feel like we need to honor them and let them know. So get out there tomorrow. All right, Chuck. West Henderson and Tuscola.
Right.
Talk to me, buddy.
Well, first it all starts with Carson Dimsdale, who is, as a career, 2,658 yards on the ground, 2,658 yards on the ground. That's a sensational career rusher. He's got 1,524 yards on the ground this season. If he goes and gets his normal $150, then he's going to be at 2,800 yards. He'll get over 3,000 for his career in the second round of a playoff game. West Henderson is who they are. They have dominated. They've had 9 opponents. They have dominated 8 of those 9 opponents. They just had one game that they have scored less than what they have, and have allowed more than what their average is. So and that was against Smoky Mountain. It was 28-13. When you talk about Smoky and the scores that they were putting up, and you look at the 28-13 score, and please, West Henderson, don't insult my intelligence by saying that you called off the dogs or you just kind of were playing with it. You did everything you could, to win that game. No coach goes in there and calls off any dogs at the start or just going through the motions. We heard that excuse from somebody from West Henderson. You have a great team. Don't get me wrong on that.
Yeah.
So what happened? It comes and boils down to this: West Henderson's rush offense versus Tuscola's rush defense. That's it. Doesn't come down to kicker. Doesn't come down to quarterbacks. Doesn't come down to receivers. Doesn't come down to kickers. Comes down to West rushing offense versus Tuscola's rushing defense. And here's the key stat, and everybody going in the game to watch. If Dimsdale gets yards after contact, picks up yards after contact every time he carries, because that's what he did against a good Pisgah defense, then it's going to be a long night for Tuscola. But if he gets dropped on contact right where he's at, then you can maybe steal or force punts, because you cannot let this kid run all over you. And he is elusive. He has got a thick leg, and he's got swivel hips. He's tough to bring down, but you gotta stick him and you gotta wrap him, and you can't let him get extra 3, 4, 5 yards after contact, initial contact. So I just think that's as simplified as it is for that game. Nobody, I'm gonna borrow this line by Bo Schembechler years ago. Nobody is unbeatable. Anybody can be beat. That's been proven through the test of time. So I just think that's where it lies with these two opponents.
I tend to agree. I also believe that I don't. All I can do is tell you what I saw last year. I don't know this year. I know I told you before the season started. I told everybody before the season started. This conference was going to run through Mills River, and to date, I have proven to be right. Regardless of what happens tomorrow night, they won another conference championship.
Right.
Regardless of that,
Right.
of if they win or lose, and the Mountaineers win or lose, they are the conference champions. And deservedly so. You tip your hat. Great kids. Again, I'll say it here. I find nobody in this business that I enjoy being around more than Paul Whitaker. Period. End of discussion. Just he's a good guy. He's funny. I'm sure the kids that play for him sometimes, he gets on them and stuff, but he is funny. He's passionate about what he does. He's still supposed to take me and Jonathan and Mike out and teach us all his bass fishing tricks, and he has yet to do that. And Paul, I'm waiting on you, bud. But tomorrow night for 48 minutes, hopefully we beat your brains in a little bit. But we're going to hug each other, be friends after the fact. We're going to go back at it again. But I think that Tuscola's gotten healthier, and I think that's a big deal. Can they run the ball? And I think they can throw. I don't see any. They can throw the ball, and all year they've proven they can throw the ball. But again, this is a different animal they're playing. Defenses, they're quick. You got a kid back there. They got a kid playing back there at safety that's going to make plays. Truett Manuel is really good. He's a great kid, but he is a hell of a football player. I know everybody talks about baseball, but man, 23, 24 touchdowns last year as a receiver.
Right.
Yeah. And so we will see. I think it's going to be a good ball game. If the Mountaineers are there and she's close in the fourth, they played a lot of tight games this year. That will not bother them. That the pressure and the tight ball games does not bother them, because they've been in a playoff game since they walked off the field against North Henderson.
Right.
Every play, the deal at East, you won, Chuck, but it's a game that you had to win, and that was almost a trap game, even though they had lost 3 in a row. The Pisgah game, it is what it is, and then the maturity that they showed last week, because the hardest week is to be able to come back after that game and play a quality opponent. And I think they did a really good job of kind of putting the Bear thing behind them and focusing on what they had to do to get to tomorrow night. So I hope it's a really good football game.
Well, big boys are going to play, and everybody's playing. The top 4 teams in the conference. West has won the championship. We've already mentioned that on Tuesday. Win or lose, they're still going to be conference champions and be seeded accordingly. North, Tuscola, and Pisgah are all 3 are 3-2 in the conference. So they are playing for that second automatic playoff spot to be seeded as the number 2 seed out of the conference. So when you're not playing for the conference championship and you got you're playing for an automatic playoff spot. And I would tell my team is that history says you don't want to be that 4th team because you're waiting. You have to have so many things happen on Friday night to even put you in a spot, maybe to get it as a wild card. And the wild card is probably going so far away to a powerhouse, so you don't want to be put into that position. But you do want that, that second spot. And if you can't get that and you get the 3rd, then, chances are you won't be home. So, but 4th, you don't know. 3rd seed, you're going to be in the playoffs, but you're going to be on the road. 2nd, you may have 1, if not 2 home games.
Really?
Yeah.
See, again, I don't know any. I've been out of that end of it for so long,
right?
And I don't know the scenarios, and I certainly haven't had to had time to talk to Jonathan or anybody about it.
Right.
And I did try to last week. It was hilarious after the game. Principal Connor Casey, I said, "So where are we sitting playoff spots?" And he looked at me and he said, "I don't know nothing. I don't know a thing." He said, "All I know is we just got to keep playing."
Right.
So,
well, and let's look at it this way, real brief, and then we'll get into all the other stuff.
yeah.
If you're a Tuscola fan, what's the best case scenario that you want? You want Tuscola to win against West Henderson. You want Pisgah to beat North. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You beat West, your rival beats North, and you and Pisgah are tied for 2nd place with 4-2 conference records. Tuscola owns the head-to-head tiebreaker. Okay? That's what you want. If it goes south on Friday and you lose to West Henderson and you're a Tuscola fan, then you want and if you lose, then you want Pisgah to lose to North because it puts you in a tie for 3rd. And you have the head with Pisgah and you have the head-to-head. So Jonathan said it best. You got to have Pisgah mirror you. If you're going to win, they got to win. If you're going to lose, they got to lose. And then you win the tiebreaker. That's how important that game was. We didn't know it at the time.
Yep. That's right.
Pisgah's got to win to get that 2nd spot. They got to beat North, and then they got to hope Tuscola loses. And pretty much is a wash from there.
We will see tomorrow. That's what it's all about. What's that they say? It's why they play the games.
That's why they play the game, and that's why you watch the scoreboard.
That's it. Now, college football. I haven't even, because of the city. Do we want to talk about the college football stuff first, or you want to talk about the Michigan situation first? Tell me, and I'll adjust accordingly.
Let's go college football, and then we'll hit Michigan at the end.
All right. So let me go back here and
Are we calling this Spygate?
I don't know what they're calling it, man. It is insane. It is insane. So here we are, week 9. and I'm gonna go conference. Okay.
All
In
right.
the ACC, you got number 4 Florida State at Wake Forest. Kickoffs at noon. Are you going?
No, I'm watching it.
Okay. Uh, you got Pitt at number 14 Notre Dame. Notre Dame, I hate even talking about them in college football, but and they're not even a member. You got number 20 Duke at number 18 Louisville. If the quarterback, I think at Duke, I think he might be done for a while. So
Yeah,
that big advantage Louisville.
just because Riley's not playing. Or if he plays, he's going to hit. It's just at that point where that high ankle sprain's going to, every time you get hit wrong, you're coming out. And you probably have to go and may have to have surgery on that ankle. But Duke was in charge of the game with Riley Leonard in there. He wasn't 100%, by the way.
Yeah.
But they were in charge of that game against fourth ranked, overrated in my book, Florida State. Then when he got hurt, it got away from him. So anyhow,
Yeah.
I think Louisville, the advantage goes to Louisville.
Yeah. Advantage Louisville. And then you got the 17th ranked Tar Heels going down to Atlanta to take on Georgia Tech
How
at Bobby Dodd Stadium.
How does a team like North Carolina, ranked 10, play one of the worst teams in Division one of the worst in the ACC, at home and drops it? What is the mindset going into this game? Do you have doubt? Are you mad at people? Are you frustrated at the coaches or players? Does, the bickering start? I mean, this can go both ways.
It could. I'm a big fan of Coach Brown's. Always have been. When back in the day when he was at Texas and he recruited my son, just to I was a big fan of him when he was at the University of North Carolina the first time. But always a big fan of him at Texas and got to know him better back in the day when they were recruiting Jonathan. So I've always pulled for them, for him. But they're in a tough spot. They're in a tough spot because technically they're not out of the playoff, but they kind of are. Right. I mean, now if they run the table and win the ACC championship game with only one loss, what does the committee do? And that's something that we'll talk about as the season goes on. But losing to that Virginia team at home, that what is that? They talk about the eye test. That's not good on the eyes. In the Big 12, number 6 Oklahoma at Kansas at noon. Fox kickoff at noon, which would be an 11 o'clock start in Kansas. I've been kind of on Oklahoma's bandwagon all year, Chuck.
Right.
They did not play well down in Florida last week and had to kind of win there at the end. But I think as we've talked about in our group text, and you guys laugh at me when I say that, but somewhere along the line in a season, most of these guys, you got to win one of those games that you're just, that's a game like Carolina. The game that they lost against Virginia is kind of the way that Oklahoma hung on to win down in Central Florida.
Right.
So they're ranked 6th. I'm still on that bandwagon. But this guy at Kansas is doing a great job. But Kansas and Oklahoma, what are you thinking?
Well, if Jalen Daniels is out, Billy Bean, the backup, is playing. I'm a big fan of Coach Leopold because he was a quarterback at Wisconsin Whitewater, a Division III school. He then became their head coach and built a powerhouse just like that. I mean, it was like for about 8 or 9 straight years, they were in the national championship game against Mount Union. And then he just got a bug about him wanting to go get, see if he can be that dominant in the, the big boy leagues. And he went to Buffalo, and then he's now at Kansas.
You're doing a great job.
He's a builder.
And he does a great job.
Right. He's got discipline. He's no BS about him. So I root for Kansas, but Kansas just can't do it. It's different without Jalen Daniels, their starting quarterback, who's been
Yeah.
out with problems. So if he's not 100% or can't go, then it's going to be Oklahoma. But if Jalen Daniels is in there, there could be an upset waiting in this game.
Maybe.
If
Oklahoma's pretty good. Yeah.
they-
And then the other game to talk about in the Big 12 is BYU is going to go to Texas, and Texas is starting their backup quarterback. Their starter's hurt this week, but I think that Texas is just going to beat their eyes out. Texas understands that they have to continue to win. Now they're ranked 7th, and again, these rankings, folks, these rankings don't mean anything in reality. They don't.
right.
The only one that count come in 2 weeks or next week. Those are the ones.
First Tuesday in November.
Yeah, those are the ones that count. But Texas, with the backup quarterback, I still think they win big. And there's nothing else in the Big 12 that's worth discussing tonight, unless you've got something that I don't know about.
No.
No, I didn't think so. I could tell by your face. You're just going, get out of the Big 12. All right. The Big 10 plus 57. Not a lot of marquee games this week, but Indiana at number 10, Penn State. Penn State is, again, they're in the same situation that Carolina's in. They're in the same situation that Texas is in, but Texas is in a better spot because it's Texas.
Right.
Those one-loss teams. I think, again, I'm not impressed offensively. Penn State's just pedestrian offensively.
Right.
And they play really good defense. Kickoffs at noon at Beaver Stadium. They'll have 107,000 in there, and they're going to roll against Indiana. Maryland and Northwestern, nobody cares. Michigan State at Minnesota. Can he keep rowing the boat? I think so. Purdue at Nebraska. Yeah. Yeah. And number 3, Ohio State at Wisconsin. 7:30 kickoff on NBC.
Upset alert.
That would make you happy. It made me happy. It would make everybody happy, even the people that live in Columbus, Ohio.
Look at the storyline behind this. Coach Fickle at Wisconsin was a linebacker at Ohio State, and when Trussell had his FBI problems at Ohio, Fickle was the interim coach, and in his, he was just thrown onto the job, and then because he lost to Michigan on the last in the last game of the regular season when he was there, they said no, they would make him an defensive coordinator, and they brought in Urban Meyer. Well, he stayed 1 year with Urban and then got the Cincinnati job.
And
so he's lying and waiting right now. He's lying and waiting. I don't think they have the personnel to do it, but if you can catch Ohio State on the road and down, because it just came off of the Penn State game.
Yep.
A very physical game. I say that's an upset alert. Beware of that one.
And both teams were very unimpressive.
Right.
I mean, that's just me. All right. The Pac-12, which is really now, even though it is the Pac-12, it's the 2 lonely schools on the island, is reality of what we're dealing with. Number 8, Oregon at number 13, Utah. 3:30 p.m. They're playing in Utah. Oregon's going to win the football game. I think they're pretty good. And they are in the same situation as Carolina. They're in the same situation as Texas. And I still say, even though they're ranked just one below, Texas is a one-loss team, is in a better spot than most anybody besides the team that's ranked below them. But we'll talk about Alabama in a little bit because Alabama's going to get a break. But Oregon and Utah.
Utah has got one of the better defenses in the country. They are still playing without Cam Rising, their number 1 quarterback.
He's done for the year.
Right. Okay. Then they're without, but they have had that backup quarterback going all year, and he's gotten better.
Yep.
Look, I'm going to rely on this defense. I watched them the other last week against USC. They beat the heck out of USC. Now USC, granted, is not a very physical team or a finesse team, but Utah can play defense and can stop a powerhouse offense. They have that ability. It's whether they can score. I'm going to ride Utah at home on this. I'm going to say they're going to beat Oregon.
24 Southern Cal at Cal. Something popped up on my screen today. And this is, listen, here's where I have issues now. With the way that this is bull poop. The article and the questions that are asked, is the quarterback from Southern Cal not going to play any longer this season because now they don't have a shot at the national championship? So is he going to just sit out the rest of the year and get ready for the NFL draft? Well, I think it's garbage. I think it's even garbage that is discussed. Right. And because I ask you this, and this is where how many kids, and I think this is a fair freaking question, and that's the one thing I can, how many kids in this country would love to just walk in the locker room and sit in the locker at Southern Cal and say, man, look at this. Would give their eye teeth to be the 95th player on the 85-man roster. I don't get where we are today with college athletics. I don't, and we've discussed it, but this is bullshit. Excuse my language. It's garbage. It's wrong. The kid said no, that I'm going to play, but that's even discussed is sickening to me. It's utterly sickening to me.
Right. They've got issues out at Southern Cal, and it also involves a head coach who's been out sick. And they immediately went to Cliff Kingsbury, who was fired at Arizona Cardinals in the NFL, who was an offensive analyst. And now he's running the team while Lincoln Riley is out tending to be, trying to get better. I don't know what he's got, but it's bad enough to where he has to be out a while. So I don't know exactly what he has, but all they have reported is he's sick for an indefinite period of time, and Cliff Kingsbury is running the team.
And do we know if he's going to be there Saturday?
No.
Okay, so we don't even. Okay,
we don't know.
The Huskies from Washington, our guys, we were all in because of John Taylor. We have to admit it. We are Huskies until they blow it, and then we can dump them. But right now, we are all in on the Huskies. They're ranked number 5. They're headed to Stanford. They didn't play well last week. Again, they won one of those games. And I think all these guys, most of these teams last week, they didn't play well, at least the top teams.
Right.
So, but they won the game that they didn't play well. I think they're going to go to Stanford. And, defensively, I think they're okay. Offensively, I just think they're at another level. They didn't play well last week, but I think they're at another level. And I think they're going to go there and win big, Chuck.
Washington at Arizona, and Arizona's on a high, and they are just they are high explosive offense. I have to say that this is another upset alert. Beware. The way the Huskies played, and how bad they played. It just was nothing was in sync in watching that game against Arizona State. Do not sleep on Arizona.
No, they're playing Stanford.
Oh, okay. I thought you said Arizona.
No, they're playing at Stanford.
Gotcha.
Now, I will say this. Let me go back and say this. Stanford is – yeah, that's right. They're playing at Stanford. So
no, Stanford. I'm sorry, folks. Let me backtrack.
Yeah. Backtrack.
You and I could beat Stanford. That's how bad they are.
Colorado at 23 UCLA. Kickoff in the Rose Bowl is at 7:30 p.m. East Coast time.
Prime Rose Bowl. What we want? That's going to be a marquee game. You got to watch that.
It's on ABC. It's the 7:30 game on ABC. Hey, look, they don't block well, and they're not really good up front. He's going to have to go out here to these other schools and snatch some of those guys and give them whatever it is and the Rolex or whatever the hell he does.
Hey,
But
going to roll up in the limousine with the
that's
white.
it. That's it. But they're look they got some kids at the skill position that can play. They're just not really good up front. So we'll see. But I am not a fan personally of Coach Kelly out there at UCLA, but he weathered the storm because he was kind of on the chopping block. What about a year and a half ago? And he has weathered the storm. And are they elite? No. But are they a top 20 program in the country? Yes. So we will see as they go forward. Washington State at Arizona State. We're all pulling for the Cougs because of their situation. And number 11, Oregon State at Arizona. And for me, again, I'm a big believer in Washington State and Oregon State because I think they got shafted, and I'll pull for them in tiddlywinks against anybody but our Washington team, and that's because I gave John Taylor my word.
Well, that's the one that, and looking at the games today, was beware of Arizona. Oregon State ranked 11 now, going down and playing Arizona. Would not surprise me if the Wildcats won that football game.
All right, SEC.
Who?
The greatest conference in the history of college athletics.
Let's roll.
I don't even have to say that any longer.
Hey,
you know that.
Like Coach 8 says at Tuscola, we call him 8. We call him 8, folks, because of his number. Coach, where's 8? As Coach 8 says, you be you. You just go be
you. South Carolina at Texas A&M, noon kickoff. Not a lot of people care. Just not a lot of people care.
Oh, I care. I care because the professional cheerleader, that's the head coach at South Carolina. You know, I watched them today against Missouri in the Missouri game. See, I catch up on all these games through the week and he was befuddled. And South Carolina's got problems.
Well, Zeb's not down there. Zeb's not down there anymore, so I don't care. If Zeb was down there, I'd dig a ditch to China for him. But Zeb has decided, Zeb Nolan's who I'm talking about, and Zeb has decided that he wants to go and follow in his dad's footsteps, and he's coaching high school football down there in Jefferson County in Georgia. So
now South Carolina goes where now?
They're at Texas A&M.
That's a loss. They're going to be 2-6.
Number 1, Georgia at Florida, the CBS game, 3:30 kickoff. You know, you got to say this. He might have turned the corner. Florida's playing a lot better football. Can they beat Georgia? They're not playing in the swamp. This is Georgia, Florida, so they're playing in Jacksonville as they do every year, but it's the CBS game. I think it'll be a close game, but again, I go back. I'm not been on the Georgia bandwagon, Chuck, since all year, and their tight end not being there is a big loss for them. That kid's a baller, and any team in America would be lucky to have him. And Florida is improving. They got a lot to play for, but I go back and say it's just like everything goes through Athens until it doesn't. Just like I said, everything goes through Mills River until it doesn't. And they proved to be right. So in the SEC at this point, I think it's a close game, but I'm going to say Georgia.
Well, I've been on the Georgia bandwagon. I think they got the coaching, they got the quarterback, they got the players. So what if they don't have Brock? He was fabulous, but they got other weapons.
For sure.
And nobody's missing on defense, and that defense is pretty prime time too. I say Georgia big.
Mississippi State at Auburn.
Auburn's so bad. Mississippi State won last week 7-3. Boy, this is flip a coin. Flip a coin.
And again, I don't like this just because I hate the way that they messed up tradition. I despise it. This should always be the last game of the year on the Saturday after Thanksgiving, and I think it's ridiculous that they've screwed this up. But number 21 Tennessee at Kentucky, and you're playing in October. That's garbage, but that's just me. Uh, I got the Vols in a pretty tight football game. Kentucky is not what we thought they were going to be this year, but again, they're playing at home and they're playing Tennessee, and it's the ESPN game at 7:00. And Stoops will have them ready, and our guys going to have our kids playing well. But I think it's a close football game. As most of the time it is between these two teams. But I got Tennessee in a close one on the road in Kentucky.
I think Tennessee rebounds here. Rebound nicely, gets a good win over, at Kentucky. I'm not a fan of. I was never a fan this year, and having watched them, that they have Leary, their quarterback's having problems. The adjustment coming from the ACC to the SEC, he's not made. He's thrown too many interceptions. They're on there've been drive killers, penalties and fumbles and interceptions. You can't do that against a good Tennessee football team. I'm going to say Tennessee's going to. This can be a good win, maybe 2-3 touchdown win.
Go Vols.
Go Vols.
The Commodores of Vanderbilt travel to Oxford, Mississippi to take on the Lanes at 7:30 on the SEC network. And again, I know that a lot of my friends over in Vol land and they don't like it that I love the guy. They can't, and that's okay. I can live with that. But I see the Rebels just laying the wood to the Commodores, and they're getting better every week. And he has grown since 2009 in a lot of ways, but his football acumen is as good as anybody coaching the game. And I see Ole Miss continuing to roll. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you this: before the season, they're ranked 12 right now. They're going to be top 8 or 9 before the season's out. I'm a big believer in what this guy does.
I'm trying to remember the schedule. Hey, I'll roll with that. Lane's a great coach. Do you by any chance have the Tuscola JV game score?
I do not have anything right now.
Well, if we have Pisgah listeners, I just got text. The Pisgah JVs are leading 42-0 over North Henderson. They win that. They win the M7 JVs. That's for our people on the other side tuning into our show. But if you can get that for me.
I'll try. Janet, can you text Jonathan and see if there's a score? The JV game.
He tells when I texted him last time, he said, "Why'd you text me during the game?"
Just text him.
No.
They're down on the 4-yard line. They're about ready to make the call in to get the touchdown, and Janet texts Jonathan.
So, yeah, I don't know. But if anybody here knows the JV score, let me see. A comment just popped up. It was, I don't know the time and don't know when it was, but it was 13-0 West Henderson. But I don't know what that is. Anyway, SEC going to be good, but there's not a lot of great games this week and no ranked on ranked. So let me get down here, Chuck. I got to get down here to.
And let me chime in on another home game against the Olivet College Comets by highly ranked Alma College. They are 7-0. Now I'm looking at the schedule and I'm like, who made this schedule up? Because this is their last regular season home game, and then they got the last 2 games are on the road.
They're fine. They score 60 points a game. They're fine.
Well, I mean,
you're good.
Got to worry a little bit.
Listen, kilts up, baby. Just make sure you wear your underwear.
Kilts up. That's right.
Wear your underwear.
Right.
There is a reason for that. In the Southern Conference,
If
in
anybody,
in the
if
Southern,
listening and want to know what we're talking about, Coach Couch, Jason Couch, Couch, Elma College head coach, ALMA. He coaches in a kill. He's Scottish and he coaches in a kill. So when you see him all the time, you're like, when I was up there for the Hall of Fame induction, I was sitting there taking a picture, but I was kind of leaning like this so I wouldn't have to go touching down there and that stuff. So, but he's a unique guy. He's a wonderful guy.
the key to the whole thing, as I said before, wear underwear.
Wear underwear.
Wear underwear.
You go be you now.
That's it. Southern Conference. Chattanooga's lost to Western. I thought that would put them out of this thing, and everything that has come back to me through the artificial intelligence, everything that has come back to me through the predictions from certain NCAA places, has 3 Southern Conference teams in the playoffs if they continue to do the things that they need to do. Chattanooga's at VMI. They need to go up there and take care of their business to continue to do what they do. East Tennessee at Furman. East Tennessee, shockingly to me, is not very good. I thought they were going to be really, really, really good. And if you're within the shout of my voice, I don't know what you're looking for and what you're waiting for. You need to get your butt over here to Waynesville, North Carolina. Quickly. You know what I'm talking about. Because they need that guy, and they definitely don't have that guy. Furman is really good. So, and then the game of the week again is going to be back in Cullowhee, Mercer, and Western. How do you react after that loss last week? I think they're going to be fine. You look at Mercer's record, but you go, well, okay, but Mercer's a good football team. I think it's going to be a really good game, but Western can score, and they need to get back to doing the things that they do. And last week, they just didn't. But I think they're going to be fine. They can throw the ball well. They run the ball as well as anybody in the country, and they're quick. I think Western wins the football game and continues on their road to the NCAA playoffs. Your thoughts?
I like Kerwin Bell to have an attitude readjustment. They were flat coming off of a bye week, and then school was out. It just seemed to be no energy in the game and in the stands. I think Kerwin Bell addresses that issue all week long, and I think the Cats will just ride that wave and win another game. Cats big. Well, Cats scoring a lot again because their defense can't stop anybody. It might be 52-49.
That's right.
Big, they're going to score a lot of points.
Massive game in Mars Hill, North Carolina, as the Lions of Mars Hill continue to fight for a playoff spot. They're playing Virginia Wise. They're at 6-1 right now and have a legitimate chance to end this thing up at 10-1 this year. Right. They're going to be favored in every football game for the rest of the season, and love my guys over there. Love Coach Clifton, Coach Surratt, Coach Burnett, Chuck Pfeiffer. Man, you don't get better people, better coaches. I am all in on the Lions of Mars Hill. And before we kind of get in and start talking about the World Series, noon on Saturday, Western Division Championship at C.E. Weatherby Stadium, Chuck. The Mites from Waynesville take on the Bethel, is it the Blue Devils, I think? I can't remember. The Bethel Blue Demons in the Western Division Championship. Kickoff is at noon. So here's what you do. You go to the ball game tomorrow night, go home, take a shower, get up, eat breakfast, go right back to the stadium. Simple. Easy.
When that's with, right down to Cullowhee.
That's it.
Go watch
That's it.
Making an
So,
event day on Saturday.
yeah, a lot of good football in the area. All right, Chuck. Man,
Ow.
well, don't kill yourself. Throw out these numbers to me, Chuck, and make me feel bad. Futures bets that if we had done. Now I don't regret what we. But let me say, I don't regret for a second what we did because
No.
I still think we were right. The stupid division championship bye has cost everybody.
Well,
Oh,
yeah, because when you have the four best teams going having a week off and then picking up, on a Saturday, and they go 1-12, tells you something's wrong.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't look. I just thought we'd get started and they'd be playing by Wednesday or something like that. But anyhow, at the start of the season, Caesars reported, sent out yesterday. Caesars reported that the Texas Rangers were a 50-1 favorite or 50-1 odds to win the American League pennant. And if you put that 150 down like we did on that 50-1, you get $75,000. I said, dang, why couldn't we figure that one out?
all right, say that again.
Okay. They were 50-1 odds. And if we, like we did, we combined the money and put $150 down on the Texas Rangers, you just take 150 times 50, and you get $7,500. So we'd get our 150 back and our winning $7,500.
Now, what about the Arizona Diamondbacks?
The Arizona Diamondbacks at the start of the season, according to Caesars, was 180 to win the National League pennant. 180-1. So take that $150 and put it on the Arizona Diamondbacks, and you get something like $27,000 off a $150 wager, futures bet. Now I know somebody in Arizona. I mean, not personally. I just believe there's somebody in Arizona that's an Arizona Diamondback fan that said, "Oh heck, I'll put $100 on the Arizona Diamondbacks to win the World National League pennant because I'm going to root for them all year." And then right now he's collected $18,000.
Yeah.
I don't know where to go with that, man. It's just two long shots making the World Series.
Yeah. It's just a shame. It's a shame. All right.
Now,
All
Texas
right.
is a minus 180 to win the World Series, and the Diamondbacks are a plus 180 to the last I checked was plus 180. They're the underdogs in the World Series. Okay, so that's baseball.
So Texas has the home field advantage for what that's worth. So 4 out of the 7 games, if they go 7, are going to be in Texas. Who do you have winning the series, and in how many games?
I think I've been wrong on everything we've been doing since the playoffs have started. My prediction. But I'm going to hang in there. I'm going to say that I am a big John Truitt fan. He's my buddy, and he lives and dies for them Texas Rangers. So I'm going to say Texas Rangers, but it ain't going to be easy. It's going to be in 7 games. Texas Rangers going to redeem the faith in John Truitt, our buddy John. I'm going to say Texas Rangers. Plus, I think they got the slightly better.
I think I could see this going 7.
Right.
I really could see it going 7. And the question that I have is how deep are the Rangers with the starting pitching if the series gets extended? Because look, I love Scherzer. I really do. I always have. And he's a warrior and he's a bulldog. And I know that you you are still angry at him and Verlander for getting the hell out of Detroit.
Right.
And you're still mad about that.
Still.
But this guy is a bulldog and he's a warrior. But is he really healthy? Because I know he came back, but is he healthy? I don't think so. And on top of that, now he's got the cut
Right.
on his thumb. And he's going to take the ball and he's going to go as hard as he can. He's going to do a lot of things. But are they a man or two short if this thing gets extended beyond 5? Are they a man or two short on the mound?
I think so, and I think it's in the pitching. Leclerc was the back end guy, back end of the bullpen, and he had trouble throwing strikes against Houston. You have Scherzer with that cut. One thing you don't want to be, you want to be healthy in if you're a pitcher is your digits, and that thumb controls a lot with the ball. And I appreciate the bulldog determination that he's got and the warrior attitude. But if you don't have healthy fingers, you're not going to be at your best. And hot, they're coming in hot. Arizona's coming in hot, pitching, fielding, and hitting. All 3 phases. Now, whether they keep it up against, but I wouldn't surprise me if Arizona wins this thing, but I'm rooting for Texas.
Because at the end of the day, the Diamondbacks are playing with house money. And they know that.
That's true.
If they get swept,
Playing with our money.
they're going to go, people didn't think we were supposed to be here.
Right.
So they're going to play free. I think they're going to play, pressure free because again, who's that loudmouth? And I don't know if you like him or not. That loudmouth guy, the sports reporter, Russo, Mad Dog.
Mad Dog.
Oh, every time I hear his voice, it's like back in the day, fingernails on a chalkboard, and he's just ragging on these guys and says, if they win the pennant over the Phillies and they win Game 7, I'm going to retire on the spot. Well, his butt didn't quit today, and it should have.
Right.
Because the greatest thing was the press conference that the manager of the Diamondbacks had after it was over, and he just looked over there and said, "Hey, man, see ya. You had a good career. You need to retire now." Just nobody in the world thought they were going to be there but them. I thought the Phillies were going to roll over them. I never saw it going 7. I thought it was going to be a quick series. Kudos to them. I'm pulling for the Rangers because I pulled for them for a different reason. When I was a young kid, up until 1975, growing up in Asheville, we had that Double-A team, the Asheville Orioles. And I loved them, pulled for them, and I've always been an Oriole guy and an A's guy because that was the 2 teams growing up. But when the Orioles left and went to Charlotte, they left us with nothing. And the Texas Rangers came in, and they went back to the name, the Asheville Tourist. And Wayne Terwilliger, you remember Wayne Terwilliger, was the manager of the Western Carolina League, low Class A ball, Asheville Tourist, who were a farm team of the Texas Rangers. And Pat Putnam played here. Pat Putnam was the minor league player of the year in 1976 in all of minor league baseball at short right field, porch at McCormick Field, and always kind of rooted for the Rangers because of that. And Wayne Tollison, Western Carolina great in football and baseball, played for the Rangers, came through Asheville before he ended up signing as a free agent with the Yankees for a few years. So I hope they win. I think they are. But, man, like you said, don't overlook this Diamondback team. There's just something there.
David, I've known you for a long time. You have always these wonderful stories growing up with the Asheville Tourists. You should write a book. You should call it a look back at my Asheville Tourist.
I loved them. And look, again, like you said, we get off here when we decide we want to get off. Have you got time for me to tell you one of the cooler stories?
Yeah,
Chuck Minish and I were 12 years old. And we told our parents, each of our parents, we said, I said, I'm spending the night at Chuck's house. And Chuck said he's spending the night at my house. And we finagled a way to get to McCormick Field because Bob Feller was going to pitch in a home run derby. Old Bob Feller. So we got up to McCormick Field and we got in and we watched him throwing and the home run derby, and then we watched the tourists play. Then we're 12 years old and we looked at each other and went, "Uh-oh, we didn't have a way to go home," because we lived over at the top of Patton Avenue down in Johnson, right near Johnston School. So now we're sitting here at McCormick Field, the old McCormick Field when it was the wooden ballpark. We're standing outside the front. Now, and we're going, because we couldn't call my mom and we couldn't call his mom. And you remember now, there were no cell phones in what we were 12 and 1974, 74. Yeah, there were no cell phones. So we didn't know what to do. So we're just standing there like two little idiot kids. And the players had left and the visitors team, they got on their bus and they went back to their cheap hotel that you stay in the minor leagues. And they're turning the lights off in McCormick Field, and we're going, "Whoa, man, this is not good." So we're planning, we're going to walk through downtown Asheville, all the way down Patton Avenue, all the way up Patton Avenue. We're going to go home.
All the way in the back. Right.
And this big long Cadillac, this guy gets in it, and he pulls up and he said, "Boys, what are you doing?" And we said, we're trying to get home. We came to see Bob Feller and all this good stuff. And he said, "Hey, I'm Bob." He said, "Get in the car." And he drove us and dropped us off at Johnson School. That's, those are my, just these two dumb, idiot 12-year-old kids. And then, we ended up going back to my house and spending the night, we got to ride in the car with Bob Feller.
There you go.
I mean, that's kind of cool. Again, I'm jealous of you, and we've talked about this. I'm jealous of the fact that, you grew up in a big league town, and you got to go to Tiger Stadium. And again, I don't care that it was old and all that. That was a cathedral of sports, not just baseball. A cathedral it was Lions football. And I ask you, because again, we can stay on here. This is our thing, and we'll get off when the heck we want to tonight. Is like you told me about the first time your dad took you and you came up the ramp.
What's the last name for you?
1965, Chicago White Sox.
Tell when you saw the field for the first time.
Man, I've never seen anything more beautiful than in my life and that short life that I lived. But in 1965, I was a 7-year-old boy going to my first game with my dad and my grandfather. Sat midway up on the lower deck down the first base line, and to watch the Chicago White Sox, which was on their side, but just sitting there watching my heroes. And when we sat down, we got there early enough to where I could go down, because when the gates opened, the Tigers are in BP. So I went down to watch the Chicago White Sox hit BP because the Tigers were already done. And I walked around just to be standing over there on the third base dugout. And K-Line came out and had this bat in his hands. He was talking to somebody. And I was standing trying to get that bat, and I could see it said Louisville Slugger on it. Oh man, he hits a Louisville. So when I saved up enough, I had my dad take me to the store, and I had to get an Al K-Line. I thought it was the same bat that he swung with, right? Because I wanted to get the big bat, and he's like, "Son, you're 7, you can't swing that." So he got me a little bat that said Al K-Line on it, but it said Louisville Slugger. That's all I cared about, Louisville Slugger. And I saw that he had it taped where his hands are down at the end. He had it taped up with white hockey tape. So I got white hockey tape. And then I went and put, from that experience, I went and saw how they wore their socks Well, I didn't have stirrups, so I put white dress socks on. I had a Detroit Tiger flannel uniform on that I inked number 6 on, LK line. And I'm out in my grandfather's yard playing baseball, of course, against me. I'm the only one out there that thought, oh my God, your son's lost his mind.
No.
I'm sitting there playing baseball, and the Tigers are kicking Baltimore, because that was the rival. I learned that was our rival, was the Baltimore Orioles back in the 60s and the early 70s. So I had dress shoes, my wingtip dress shoes as cleats, flannel. I looked good. I had 6 on my back, the Holy Grail of baseball, and I was in heaven. And it was all from that experience.
So fast forward to 2000 and what year were we in Lakeland?
07, wasn't it?
Fast
08?
forward, yep, 2007. And we get to go to spring training, and media passes the whole 9 yards. We're down there for 3 or 4 days. And I'm going to set this up for the folks that haven't heard it, and you can finish it off. So we when I tell you that we had carte blanche. And before I go into the story about you, we're standing down there during one of the exhibition games, and we're right at the clubhouse at the right field line, and Verlander's there, and we're just having a conversation. And some fans are asking for his autograph, and he's signing them, and he's so polite, and he's so kind, and so, gave everybody a second, looked them in the eye, and then he's not married to her anymore, but his then wife came over there, and she was not happy with him taking the time to do that, and he just turned around and chewed her out in front of everybody, me, you, and I, and and just but they're no longer married. He's married to
Kate Upton.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool. But anyway, we're out at the batting cage. We're standing on the batting cage during BP, and Cam was playing for the Marlins. They had traded him from the Tigers had traded him to the Marlins for Miggy and a couple of other players, and they're playing the Marlins that day. And we're standing there at the cage, and Cam, and I knew Cam when he was a little dude playing fall ball. Him and Jonathan playing fall ball over in North Asheville. But we're standing there, and this guy walks over, and he's in street clothes. He's not in a uni, but he's in street clothes, and I could see your demeanor change. And you and I, if have one thing that we're not afraid to talk to anybody, anytime, anywhere about anything. That's just, it is what it is. I'm not apologizing for that. We can talk, and we might not know what we're talking about, but by God, we can talk. But this guy standing there in street clothes, turn around, and you're almost face to face with this guy, and you tell the rest.
I turned around, and there was Al Kaline, probably
Here.
foot and a half. Yeah, just standing like this. Of course, I was slightly looking up. He's 6'3", and I looked up at him, and there was a hesitation, and then I felt a nudge from behind from you, like, go. And the best I can tell you is that I'm Mr. K. I'm Chuck, down sports editor. Here's my card. I'm a sports editor at Waynesville. That's in the western part of the state. And, I've been a big fan of yours growing up as a kid. And the whole time, Kaline's looking at me holding the card like this. And then I said, and this is David Crompton. His son's quarterback at Tennessee. And, he's my buddy and everything. But, we're out here, on baseball tour. It was nice meeting you. And he just sat there and went, right. And just turned around and walked away. But I could hear behind me going, what the hell was that? What went wrong? What? is wrong with you? What happened? I said, David, that's like the holy grail baseball team.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. What did I say? And he said, just don't.
But the thing is people, it's so much different now for these kids today. I go back in, for me, those guys on the Orioles, they were Orioles. You know what I mean?
Right.
Free agency came around when I was a freshman in high school, but still, man, those guys, Reggie Jackson is still an Oakland Athletic to me. I don't see him. I hate the Yankees. I loved what he did in the World Series with the Yankees, but I go back and when I think of Reggie Jackson, he's wearing that green and gold and white. And I always in our group text every once in a while just to make sure that you all never forget. I send those pictures of him in that uniform and go, just reminder today of what greatness is or whatever I send. And you guys it makes you want to puke, but it's hilarious. But,
It's that's what they
I'm
call
not a hero worshiper kind of guy, but Reggie Jackson's kind of like that guy to me. And,
Right.
or Brooks Robinson or Frank Robinson, or those are the guys that would be that for me. I don't know if now it's really cool. Reggie Jackson and I on Twitter have communicated in the last year and a half or so. Not a lot, but he replied to some things, and I've replied back, and I did send him a thing. It told him, I mean, I'm sure you get this all the time, but I just need you to know what you meant to me as a kid growing up. I learned a lot from you. I learned that you don't have to look like me to be somebody. I learned that a guy can look like you and be just a cool dude and a great player and whatever. So yeah, man, that moment with Al Kaline for you, in my eyes, all joking aside, that's special for
Well,
special.
there's two caveats to that, and that was while we were down there in Lakeland for that extended weekend, and we took in all that baseball. Right after that fiasco with Al Kaline, we were sitting up in the press box at Joker Merchant Stadium watching spring training game. And I'm just so embarrassed. I'm just sitting there, and I'm looking for comfort from my friend. And all of a sudden, next to me is David, and all of a sudden, I hear this. And all I could do was, shut up, David. Just shut up, will you please? And you just kept talking. And then the second caveat to this story was that we went up a few years later. I think it was 2009 for the weekend for the Cubs series
in Detroit.
My mom and dad's and we were up in Detroit and for the weekend series, and we were out on the field. And again, we could go anywhere we wanted. We had these passes.
Unbelievable.
Detroit was awesome. So we were out there standing in front of Detroit's dugout on the third base side in the Comerica field. And all of a sudden, David nudges me like that. And I looked at him, and he says, Kaline's in the dugout. Oh, I said, please, David, don't make me go through that. I looked back like this, and when I did, Kaline turned and looked at me. Well, apparently, he recognized me. So I turned back, and I thought, I got to redeem myself. And I'm sitting there with that little guys on my shoulders. One's telling me, go talk to him. The other one's going, don't make a fool of yourself. So I did that for a minute or so. And next thing I turned around, Kaline left the dugout.
But we don't have a great time, though. And again, that's the things that people that we were able to do is we went into players' entrances. We were down in right there between both clubhouses. We had carte blanche. They fed us. They loved on us. And the people that we met, the fans that we met and we interviewed from Florida, brought us all that food up to Comerica. Remember, they brought us all those because you said we'd like to have some Coney dogs. And that lady came back home, and she knew when we were going to be in Detroit and brought us all the food and just So hopefully we can get back to doing that one day. But 28-6 West is the last update I got. So
42-0 Pisgah at halftime. So that's that's all
Yeah.
Pisgah bees.
so
But
anyway,
we had great tours, didn't we? But my brother, Mr. 800, folks,
Mr. 800.
let me explain this. My brother Kevin is a Hall of Fame soccer coach in the state of Michigan. He's been inducted into the Hall of Fame. He's got now, I think, like 835 wins right now. But he just recently had, we call him because he just recently got his 800th win as a soccer coach. And so we call him Mr. 800. And he's a great man. But he told us, he said, hey, I'm in. If you do this trip, I'm in. And then he said, put the word out. He said, I want to come down and take in at least one SEC game a year to experience it. And I'm like, looking at him, why? Why the SEC? You want good football, come to the ACC.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
He says,
you just lost all credibility.
Yeah, I know. Like, seats aren't available. He said, a good one would be when Alabama comes to Tennessee next year. And I'm like, Kevin, there aren't, Mr. 800, there are no seats available for that game. Maybe somebody will have some seats or, a booth or a suite that we can partake in and take my brother to see an SEC game and let him see what it's all about. But he said, long weekend to Lakeland, count me in, please.
Yeah, it's there's nothing like it. And again, we'll get off here in just a second, but
yeah,
as much as I enjoyed all that, the most fun I ever had was when we spent the 2 summers touring all the minor league stadiums and teams that were. We went to Hickory, we went to and then the Appy League. We went to Johnson City. We went to Greenville. We went to Elizabethton. We went to all these stadiums that all these history and all these players had gone through. And Greenville, Tennessee, and then we'll get off here. Greenville, Tennessee was the Astros, the rookie league team, short season Appalachian League that they've done away with, which I hate that.
Mm-hmm.
But we're down there in Greenville, Tennessee, Tusculum Stadium, nice facility. It's scorching in the middle of the summer, and they're out there, and there's one kid taking infield all by himself, and it's 100 degrees, and he's taking because they, the general manager met us, said, "Hey, I want you to tour the clubhouse." They got 3 suites in the stadium or 4 suites, and talking about the history of the Houston Astros in Greenville, Tennessee, and all that good stuff, and spent an hour and a half or so with us. And this kid never left the field, took hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of ground ball, and he was 5'5", 5'6", and I'm thinking, who is this kid? Well, I'm not a big fan because of the scandal stuff, but he's a heck of a baseball player, and that was Altuve. And we saw Altuve when he was an 18-year-old kid. Just, it's one of those deals. I'm just going to outwork you. You might be bigger than me. You might be stronger than me. I am going to outwork you, and he most certainly did. So, we seen a lot of stuff. Had some fun
out there. Being so small, I said, well, what did you do? Sign this kid out of like middle school or something like that and bringing him up, 13, 14-year-old? And he just looked at me and goes, oh, he's of age. I said, man, is he all right? I mean, he was a little guy out there. But we had fun. We watched him take BP and we also talked to some players.
Police surrounded the main home where the suspect is.
Well, all right, Chucky. I'm going to get my fanny off here. Thank you for tonight. We'll get this. You doing the scoreboard tomorrow night?
I will be doing your scoreboard, keeping up everybody today.
Okay. I'll see everybody at CE Weatherby. Go support your local teams. Let's get out here to Waynesville. Let's take care of this team and these seniors. And we'll see everybody Saturday morning on Jonathan's show. And hopefully get ready for some playoff football here in Waynesville, North Carolina. Chuck, have a great night. Tell Deuce I'm going to take his card from him. He knows what I mean. Okay. All right, brother. I'll see you. Bye.